What is Jerry Jones's mood right around now? Best you can tell, Don.
I think he's trying to put a good face on a bad few weeks. Jerry Jones really was in a tough spot. Earlier this year, back in May, at the owners' meeting in Chicago, Jerry Jones was one of 32 owners who voted for Roger Goodell to have his contract extended. Jerry Jones, for years, has been Roger Goodell's key cheerleader on lots of different issues. On the Deflategate issue, Jerry Jones was out there saying Roger's doing a great job. He backed him on the Ray Rice scandal. And then suddenly the Ezekiel Elliott thing happened. And as Seth Wickersham and I reported, just a couple weeks after Jerry Jones voted for Roger Goodell to have that contract extended, Jerry Jones had a conversation with Goodell and came away from it believing that Goodell was going to let Ezekiel Elliott off the hook on those domestic violence allegations. Jones told everybody in Dallas that, and then in August, they had a follow-up conversation in which Roger Goodell said, no, I'm going to suspend Ezekiel Elliott for 6 games. And at that moment, Jones said to him, as Seth and I reported, I'm going to come after you with everything that I have. And he tried to this fall. It was really a war over the contract. And I think that Jones hurt himself in a way with a lot of his fellow owners because they saw it really through the prism of Jerry Jones's anger over the Ezekiel Elliott punishment and not Jerry Jones's issue with a lot of other problems that the NFL is now having with ratings, with merchandise sales going down. And so, yeah, I think Jones is putting a good face on this. Goodell got his contract extension for a lot of money, and Jones is still trying to wave a victory flag over what was clearly a loss for him. A very rare one, I might add.
Well, I mean, in that regard, though, he and from what I read as well, has not given up the fight, or at least that's what he's giving the impression of behind the scenes. Would you say that that is accurate?
I do think that's accurate.
So then what does that mean?
It means that Jerry Jones is going to try to make Roger Goodell's life difficult in the coming years. Jerry Jones believes that there's not enough transparency with what the league office does. He feels like some of his fellow owners, by the way, that the league office itself is bloated and has been ineffective. He's particularly angry about the entire apparatus that's been set up to do these investigations that he feels distracts fans, is not good for the game, certainly wasn't good for the Cowboys with what happened with Ezekiel Elliott with the 6-game suspension. But he thinks there's too much emphasis on that, and he doesn't like he's tired of the bad headlines that have occurred now that this has happened. What he can do going forward is continue to rally owners to the view that Roger Goodell needs to do more. He needs to do a better job. And the irony is this guy got a 5-year contract extension for a lot of money, but he's had a pretty rough 3 years since the Ray Rice scandal. Goodell. And yet, the owners stuck with him, and Jerry Jones was really pushing on a closed door. He was one of really only 5 owners that felt that they should look elsewhere for another commissioner.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.